Shalom, Israel. Or should I say, Yasha Allah? So we don't get it confused. I'll bring up forth this information. My name is Adonaiah. Okay? Ben Yehuda. So I'm the son of Yehuda, of Judah, in the English. But I'm bringing forth this information today using the book called Civilizations Past and Present. I'll bring it closer, you can see it a little closer. Past civilization, past and present. Now I'm going to take it to a piece of history that was recovered by these brothers who wrote this book. You can do the research, you can look up the book called Civilizations, again, Civilizations, Past and Present. You can look it up online, you can Google it, however you do it with your search engine, whatever search engine you use. But I'm going to go right here, and it would be page 28, about we're dealing with the Hebrews. Now, this is history dealing with the Hebrews. It's called the Hebrew Kingdom. You can see it. I tried my best to get in there and see it. The Hebrew Kingdom. Okay? And in this book, it tells you in war, diplomacy, inventions, and art, the Hebrews contributed little of great significance to history. In religion and ethics, however, their contributions to the world's civilization was monumental. Out of their experience grew three great religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. So, what is implicated is that Judaism, that you see the Jews claim today, or the Jewish people claim today. Christianity, what you see Christians claim today. Islam, what you see Islamic people claim today. They all come from the Hebrew kingdom. So these Hebrew kingdoms were up and running with the authority of the Most High before any one of these three other significant groups. These groups came from the Hebrew kingdoms. Again, I'm going to show you from the book Civilization, Past and Present, 10th edition. You can do the research, you can look it up, you can Google it, you can search engine. I'm going to page 28, where it says the Hebrew kingdoms. Okay? Where you can see ancient Israel, 8th century BCE. Alright, you can see the landmass, and you can go ahead and get the history. I'll give you a little more history. It says, in the second paragraph, much of the Hebrew experience is recorded in Old Testament, the collection of literature that the Hebrews believed was written through divine inspiration, whose present content was approved about 90 CE by a council of rabbis. As a work of literature, it is outstanding, but it is more than that. The Hebrew Bible is a valuable source for the study of early Hebrew history and the evolution of Hebrew thought, culture, and religious system. The biblical account of the history of the Hebrews, later called Israelites, and then Jews, begins. So I'm going to stop right there where the Jews are. So this is historical evolution of things and time and how things change. At one moment we were the Hebrews, next moment we were the Israelites, then we come to Jews. Now, it depends on who is in power, who has the authority to control a particular religion or a particular culture today, because we know in time, in dispensation of time, in slavery, we have lost our culture, our language, our ways, our God, and everything. So therefore, you know what I mean, it was able to be taken away from the original Hebrews and made to become Jews or Jewish people. You know what I'm saying? Which we now know, if you know about this thing or this research, you know that people call themselves Jews after their religion called Judaism. Okay? So Judaism is a religion, as well as Christianity is a religion, as well as Islam is a religion. But the tenets and the information all come from the Hebrew characters, the Hebrew people. Okay? So let's not get that confused. Understand that, because this is what the history book is implicated. This is what the Bible also implicates. So give me a minute. Alright? Begins with the patriarchal clan leader Abraham, called in Genesis 14 and 13 the Hebrew, a nomad or a wanderer. A nomad or a wanderer. About 1900 BCE, Abraham is said to have led his people out of Ur in Sumer, where they had settled for a time. In their wanderings, Abraham is credited with leading his followers to the northwestern Mesopotamia. These people remained nomadic. The Bible records that Abraham moved his people to Egypt and back again to the north, and Abraham's grandson Jacob, later called Israel, and from whom the Israelites derived their name, eventually led a migration into the land of Canaan, later called Palestine. Okay? Historians and archaeologists have raised many questions about accuracy of biblical accounts for the early Hebrew community. No archaeology proof exists for a migration of people into northern Palestine around 1900 BCE, although no evidence exists to negate the possibility. Recently, archaeologists have suggested that the culture of age of the founders of the Hebrew community, that culture describes in the early books of the Bible, best describes Hebrew culture around 1100 BCE and not 800 years earlier. But as you can see, you can go into this book and you can get Hebrew history. Alright? You can get the understanding of why we have a Bible and what this Bible consists of. The Bible consists of Hebrew history. The best way to get the information of the Hebrews is to read the Bible, Old Testament and New Testament. And as you see, the Bible never ends because the people still exist. So that's why the Bible is about the past, the present, and the future as well. Okay? Speaks about the Hebrew religion. Then I can take you to Ethiopia. This is the book, this is a chapter here called African Beginning. African Beginning. Look in this book. Again, the book is called Civilizations, Past and Present, African Beginning. Okay? As you go in this book, you begin to look through it. I'm looking for a particular thing, although there are many tribes and religions spoke about in the book dealing with Africa. I'm going straight to Ethiopia, dealing with the northeastern Africa, because that's what we're talking about pertaining to the Hebrews. And when we deal with Africa and the Hebrews, you find that we were connected in the Bible biblically, first in Kings, and all through the Bible you see that people from Ethiopia came to Jerusalem to worship, alright, and to pay homage to the kings of Jerusalem. And I have pictures in this book to show proof that Ethiopia had even monuments that their kings built to represent the power of the Holy One, which they call Jesus in the English Bible. But we know as Yeshua, another Hebrews pronounce it in different ways. because we know in Hebrew there are different dialects, but at the same time we respect each other, as well as those who say Jesus, because we understand that you're only getting the English terminology of things, and that's what you're comfortable with, so that's what you use. But as you begin to grow in wisdom, you know, hopefully you be accustomed to something that seems more truer than what you believed that it was. Because we know in translations, you know, people change things, and you have to make sure that they are correct. You know, and when you do the etymology of the word, you'll find what I found was Yeshua in the Oxford Dictionary. Okay? But as you begin to study Hebrew, as I've been talking about with the different dialects of Hebrew, you will realize that, you know, people pronounce things in different ways. Like even in Jews, or the Jewish people in Judaism who use Hebrew, they use a sort of Yiddish with their Hebrew. So, you know, there are different dialects of Hebrew because Hebrew people are all over the world. Okay? So, again, we're in Ethiopia, and we're speaking about the churches that were built out of rock, alright? And the kings and queens of Ethiopia who represented in the Hebrew and Christian form, and still to this day, they represent in Hebrew and Christian form. The oldest that you can find in the world, over 3,000 years. Okay? Here they have books that were never plagiarized by Europeans. They have books that were never written by Europeans. They have books that are thousands of years old. They have artifacts. They have things that we can prove that the Bible is actual and factual. Okay? So this is Africa we're talking about. This is our motherland, you know what I'm saying, that we claim. But a piece of our history from the Bible is also there, as well as other people's history and cultures are there. Alright? We ain't going to take the time out to knock them, because we would cause war with our people, and that's not what we're trying to do. But we try to represent who we are, and what we're about, and what our culture is, and what we represent, and what makes us, what sustains me, and what can sustain you. You understand what I'm saying? And if it sustains me and you, and all of us, you know, which is American, I'm American, you know what I'm saying, at the moment, this is where my slave masters or my ancestors have been, you know what I'm saying, have brought my people, you know what I'm saying, and I'm, you know, the product of them. Now I'm coming back to who I am, and coming back to culture, and civilized behavior. So a lot of us need to be civilized in our behavior, so if we're on the same page with one another, that we can get along. We can put one and one together and make two. But if we don't see eye to eye, you know, how can we ever do anything together? So, you know, I promote, you know what I'm saying, group activity, you know what I'm saying? I promote group activity so that we can learn how to get along as brothers and sisters, you know what I'm saying, and we can build. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm about, and that's what the Bible's about. You know what I'm saying? It's about, first of all, loving the Creator, you know what I'm saying, which is all love and peace, you know what I'm saying, and war, if it's necessary. But more than anything is love and peace, and that's what we represent, and that's what we're about. You know what I'm saying? But even peaceful people can go to war if necessary. But that's not what we're about. So let's just bring peace to each other and love to each other so we can continue to grow as a people. And one day we'll grow out of a situation that we were once brought into, which is called slavery. I say in this dispensation of time. Alright, so we need to be culturalized so we can be equalized, so we can come together and do the things we need to do as a people under the power. So the power could use you as he used me to do a video like this, which I never thought I'd be doing. I'm kind of nervous to do it, and I hope the people don't judge me as much, but I did the best I could. Peace and blessings.